Okay, so what is the DOGE revolution here? Well, we're not going to have time to really discuss the whole thing, but let me just give you an overview, right? DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, is not really a department. It's really Musk identifying all the fat and where to cut. I mean, he can't cut. He can only recommend to Congress to do this, and that's what he's doing. And in other words, it's Trump's way of accelerating the process. If he left it up to Congress, it would drag out for months, right? And all those opposed to the cuts would be able to maneuver in the meantime and slow it all down. That's the whole idea: slow down Trump right now. And DOGE cuts right through that in the House of Representatives, right? Here's the cuts, right? And he's throwing it over the transom to the politicians, right? In the meantime, in the Senate, old guard Republicans and Democrats are beginning to maneuver to somehow cut the DOGE in cuts coming from the House of Representatives in a couple of weeks. Well, $2 trillion has been identified by DOGE here. It includes, by the way, cuts to defense, as I said, restructuring, and a big whack education spending and Medicaid and some other areas. Okay, so $2 trillion. But you got to keep this in historical context. When Obama in 2011, he cut $1.5 trillion. Oh, well, the media is not talking about that, right? $1.5 trillion, $1 trillion in social programs and $500 billion in defense. Well, the defense was successfully blunted and rescinded, but $1 trillion in social spending were cut by Obama in 2011, August 2011, half of which was education department. Yes, education. $1 trillion. The Democrats cut $1 trillion, which is more than what Obama had used as a stimulus in 2009, which was $787 billion. Well, he cuts $1 trillion after he gives $787 billion. $300 billion, which was tax cuts, by the way. So it's really only about $500 billion stimulus. That's why the economy did not recover robustly under Obama. It stumbled along, and actually we had a double dip there in 2013. Okay, so it's the same thing. They always do this after a crisis. Take back what they threw at you and those households. Well, they spent $3 trillion in 2020 and another $1.9 trillion in 2021 under Biden, so $5 trillion fiscal stimulus. Well, they're going to take some of that back. And this is part of the restructuring going on. They can't keep $2 trillion deficits. The empire can't sustain that. So they're going to cut social programs, and they're going to try to cut defense as well, especially wasteful defense spending that doesn't do anything for the U.S. economy, like in U.S. aid and endowment for democracy and subsidies to NATO and Europe and the 800 bases, and 45 four-star generals. That's where they're going to cut in defense, right? But they're going to cut social programs too, right? $2 trillion. And they're going to provide $1 trillion of new tax cuts for households, for the middle and working class. $1 trillion. And you think about it, and I'll just quickly indicate what that is. The tax, no tax on tips, $100 billion. No tax on overtime pay, $250 billion. Ending taxing of Social Security income that Reagan introduced in the 80s, that's $550 billion. Raising the SALT local tax deduction, $170 billion, and giving checks, $5,000 checks for every